동호 아빠가 합의 안 해주면 징역 1년이래요. 아이가 그렇게 되게 둘 순 없잖아요. 엄마가 돼가지고. 안 그래요?
The boss's eyes roamed over her unscrupulously, but just as he was about to reach out, the woman's husband suddenly walked over. It is said that only when your phone battery is at 7%. Will you come across this R-rated film with full-scale content? Desperate. The film vividly portrays the bitterness and helplessness of a middle-aged man, with penetrating depth. A technical veteran who had worked 25 years in the paper industry was ruthlessly fired by Capital with just a casual remark. The heavy pressure of life, the humiliation in the workplace, made this honest man, who had been law-abiding all his life, completely shed his kind exterior. To protect his family and win back his own dignity, he did not hesitate to strike ruthlessly at his workplace rivals. A bloody struggle staged for survival thus officially began. The male lead, Jong-yu, was seen as a successful man by countless people. He had worked at a large paper mill for 25 years. With his unique skill of identifying paper density by tapping with a wooden stick, he won the title of Paper Craftsman of the Year and became the irreplaceable pillar of the factory. And his family was even more his pride. His wife Sue was beautiful and gentle, managing the household full-time. His daughter studied cello, and his son attended a private school. They lived in a detached house passed down from his grandfather, and they kept 2 golden retrievers in the yard. This was the life so many people dreamed of. But this seemingly unshakable happiness, in the face of Capital, was as thin as paper that would break at a single poke. On this day, American Capital fully acquired the paper mill, completely shattering the former stability. The new management initiated large-scale layoffs as soon as they took over. To promote fully automated production lines, all senior and high-salaried veteran employees were placed on the optimization list. Jong-yu thought he could survive because of his 25 years of seniority and unique skills. But HR erased his 25 years of dedication with just a few words. He did not even have a chance to hand over his work before he had to pack up and leave. He clutched the dismissal notice, standing at the factory gate for 3 hours, not daring to go home for a long time, because he was afraid that his family would find out. The backbone of this family had collapsed. From that day on, Jong-yu began a 13-month-long masquerade. A performance of dignity and survival officially began. Every day at 7:30, he still went out in suit and tie. His briefcase contained only half-eaten bread and job applications that had sunk without a trace. During these 13 months, he visited every paper mill in South Korea. But the midlife crisis, combined with the industry downturn, made him the least wanted person in the job market. To supplement the household income, he worked as a porter at a supermarket late at night, carrying boxes heavier than himself, exhausted to the point where he could not straighten his back. But the money he earned was not even a fraction of the mortgage payment. His toothache had been bothering him for over half a year, and half his face was swollen, yet he could not bear to spend a few $100s to treat it. When it was time to get off work, he would change back into his suit, repeatedly practicing his smile against the car window, pretending he was still that dignified father. An overdue mortgage notice was mailed to their home. The moment his wife Sue opened the mailbox, all his disguises were instantly shattered. This gentle woman, without any hysterical cursing, was instead unusually calm. She first returned to the workforce, becoming a dental nurse again, and also cancelled their daughter's cello lessons, cutting back on the family's entertainment expenses. She even proposed selling the ancestral house and the car. Jong-yu refused on the spot. This ancestral house was what he had desperately redeemed. Every plant and tree there was tended by his own hands. This place carried his childhood and his dignity. Selling it would be equivalent to draining his last remaining confidence. Sue interrupted him. "We cannot pay the mortgage. We cannot scrape together the tuition. Can dignity be eaten as food?" Then she added that they would send the 2 golden retrievers to the countryside for foster care. This made Jong-yu's heart ache as if cut by a knife. Soon, a nouveau riche came to view the house. He freely critiqued the furnishings inside, even declaring that he would tear down Jong-yu's carefully tended greenhouse and turn it into a golf course. Jong-yu was filled with indignation, but due to the family's financial straits, he could not refute. He walked out the door and saw his 2 children huddled in the doghouse, reluctantly stroking the dogs, softly murmuring not to send them away. Looking at his children's faces, Jong-yu made a solemn promise.
집 안 없어져. 아빠 약속할게.
To keep his promise, Jong-yu set aside his dignity. He learned that Woolryang Paper was hiring a technical manager. The position was almost tailor-made for him. So he immediately went to Woolryang Paper for an interview, and even knelt publicly before the interview manager Choi, just to beg for a chance. But what he got in return was manager Choi's mockery.
쪽팔린 줄 아는 인간이 남 똥 싸고 오줌 싸는데 와서 뭐 하는 짓이오?
Each mocking word pierced Jong Yu's heart like a dagger. His crushed dignity, the despair of being at the end of his rope, completely drove this gentle, good-natured man mad. A crazy idea began to grow in his mind. He would eliminate all competitors and become the only candidate for Woolryang paper. Afterward, Jong Yu retrieved his father's old pistol, took out all his savings, and placed a fake job advertisement in an industry magazine, fabricating a European joint venture paper company, offering top-tier salaries. The job requirements were exactly the same as Woolryang paper's position. His plan was cruel and simple. Use high salaries to attract industry experts. Then screen the resumes. Weed out those less qualified than himself. Lock onto the most competitive rivals. And then eliminate them one by one. He treated killing as a mandatory overtime task. 3 days later, a flood of resumes poured in. Jong Yu screened them rigorously, and finally singled out 2 formidable rivals, Beam and Go, plus manager Choi, who had humiliated him. A death list of 3 people was officially created. He put the resumes and pistol into a gun case, and began tracking his first target, Beam. Beam was in a similar situation to him. After losing his job, he became a drunkard, numbing himself with alcohol every day, waiting by the phone for interview calls. Just as Beam went out in the afternoon to look for food, Jong Yu aimed and prepared to shoot.
또 아무나 자신아! 술 끊더니 아무거나 막 주워 먹냐?
Seeing someone approaching, Jong Yu planned to abandon the operation and leave, but was accidentally bitten by a venomous snake. This scene was witnessed by Beam's wife, Ara. Ara hurriedly treated his wound with the wrong method. Fortunately, the snake that bit him was non-venomous. Just then, his wife called via video.
뱀에 좀 물려가지고 독살지도 모르니까 나중에 다시 할게.
After hastily hanging up, Jong Yu rushed home. He then realized that Ara's way of treating the wound was wrong, and so, the compassion in his heart was completely replaced by survival instinct. The next day, Jong Yu went to Beam's house again, but just as he was about to act, he saw an absurd scene. Beam's wife was actually messing around with a young man, and Beam, who had just returned, happened to catch them in the act. The 3 immediately started fighting. In the chaos, the pistol fell. During the struggle, the pistol unexpectedly ended up in Ara's hands. Seeing this, Jong Yu immediately fled up the mountain. But as soon as he escaped, he witnessed Ara personally shoot her husband dead.
총 2방 맞았다고 죽냐?
Jong Yu was scared out of his wits. He immediately drove away. The target had died unexpectedly. He did not need to dirty his own hands. If Beam's death was a dark comedy, the second target, Go, was the final test of Jong Yu's conscience. Go was also unemployed, also had a daughter who studied cello. For his daughter's tuition, Go set aside his dignity and became a sales assistant at a shoe store, bowing and scraping to customers. Jong Yu followed him at the shoe store for 2 days. 2 old men who had worked in paper all their lives. They understood all of each other's hardships after just a few words. Jong Yu saw the tragedy of his own kind in Go. He had hesitated, struggled, felt compassion, but this was about his daughter's cello tuition, about the house he was desperately trying to keep. Sympathy ultimately could not overcome the instinct for survival. Jong Yu pretended his car had broken down and tricked Go into getting out to help, then struck from behind. After stealing his heart and killing Go, he tied the body up into a bundle, and then buried it directly in the backyard of his villa. But who could have imagined that the police would trace it to his home the next day? They arrested and took away Jong Yu's son. It turned out that the son, to help support the family, had made a foolish mistake and committed a theft. Even more absurdly, his wife, to get the victim to drop the charges, actually dressed up provocatively, planning to sacrifice her own body for a settlement. This was enough to show how the lower middle class, under the heavy pressure of survival, lost control of themselves. The originally law-abiding, principled family gradually abandoned their principles and lost their moral boundaries. And on this day, the wife, who had caught Jong Yu secretly digging a hole late at night, took the opportunity while Jong Yu went to kill the last manager, and quietly dug up the fresh soil in the backyard. Only then did she discover that what Jong Yu had buried were cold corpses. Shock and confusion swirled in her mind. She could not understand it at all. Was finding a job really harder than killing someone? And at this moment, Jong-yu had also caught manager Choi, who had once humiliated him. As long as he killed him, the position would become vacant. Just as Jong-yu was about to strike, his wife, who had discovered the truth, called.
혼자 다 짊어지려고 하지 마. 무슨 안 좋은 일하면 그건 나도 같이 하는 거야. 알았어?
His wife's reaction was simultaneously moving and chilling. She completely abandoned the boundaries of morality and conscience, choosing to join her husband in hiding the crimes, and together they fell into the abyss of human nature. These words made the hesitant Jong-yu finally make up his mind. He inserted a funnel into manager Choi's mouth, then poured in sausages mixed with hard liquor, and then tightly wrapped manager Choi in plastic wrap. And so, he faked it as a death from excessive alcohol consumption. And after this, things indeed went as Jong-yu had expected. The paper company with the vacancy ultimately chose Jong-yu from the remaining interviewees and offered him a generous salary of 10 million won per month. At the end of the film, Jong-yu's family lived happily again. They even brought back the golden retrievers they had not been able to keep.
차에 첫 출근.
내 치과 그만 나가고 테니스 다시 시작해. 내가 새 라켓 사줄게.
추워졌잖아. 못 먹을 거야.
Desperate was directed by Park Chan-wook, starring Lee Byung-hun and son Ye-jin. It was released in South Korea on September 24, 2025, and was previously shown at the Venice Film Festival. It is adapted from the noir novel The Axe. Lee Byung-hun subverts the elite image, precisely portraying the endurance and breakdown of a middle-aged man. Son Ye-jin vividly depicts the helplessness and determination of a wife at the bottom. Park Chan-wook, with his signature dark humor, tears open the wounds of the middle class crushed by capital. He captures unemployment, mortgage, and the collapse of dignity with bone-chilling realism. Jong-yu traded sin for security, the whole family united to hide the crimes. It seemed they had returned to a perfect life, but in reality, they had already fallen into the abyss of human nature. This is not a satisfying revenge film, but a sorrowful song of the times. When survival crushes conscience, so-called happiness is nothing but an illusion built of blood. It fully expresses the helplessness of ordinary people in the torrent of the times. The original film is even more intense than this narration.